I'm back. Sorry, I've been away for a few days, spending time with family, the masters of disaster, my grandchildren. They get perfect house in perfect divine order, and within minutes, it's destroyed. We have a blast. One's 2 and one's 5. My grandchildren, Hayden and Ethan. Anyhow, today I want to talk about a couple of things here, all related to reclaim your securities, of course. First one is I'm going to pull up a screen share here. This is on a court case that was held in Alberta, Ontario, a number of years ago. Court of Queen's Bench from Alberta, Ontario. What this case is about is this fellow here, Jay Littlechild, was running for election. This is back in 1990 when Canada was implementing or talking about implementing the goods and services tax, the GST. And this fellow here was running on the platform that he was going to vote against GST. So he was elected on that basis that he would vote against GST. But when he got into office, he was elected and got into office in Parliament of Canada, he voted for GST. So the people took him to court, basically saying that he lied, he breached his promises, so on and so forth. And the bottom line is this from this case, is that the people have no recourse. This fellow has no duty to these people. He has no obligation to these people whatsoever. And so basically there's no recourse. But the bottom line of this whole event of this case is that anybody that's running for politics can lie through their teeth, and there's nothing you can do about it. There is no recourse. My question would be, do you really want to vote for people that could be lying? I mean, I've been on this planet long enough to, I find it rather insane, to be honest with you. People vote for a guy, they like him, they vote him, they get him in. Shortly thereafter, they don't like him, so they want to get rid of him, get a new guy in. The new guy comes up, they like him, they vote him in. Shortly after that, they don't like him, so they vote him out and vote some new guy in. It's round and round it goes, the same song and dance. And like, when are people going to wake up to the nonsense? Now, we read in the our very first YouTube video, the intro to Trust Estates and Securities, that the political party system was created by the financiers to create division amongst the people. And let me just say a couple of things here in voting, then I'll move on to something more relevant. Voting is the same concept as hiring a lawyer. When one hires a lawyer, he hires representation. The lawyer speaks for you as if he's not you, but he's speaking, he's got your power of attorney, essentially. When one hires a lawyer, he hires representation. The lawyer speaks for you as if his acts as a representative of and for the client are binding on the client. His acts, what he does, is binding on the client. See, when you hire a lawyer, you're giving him basically power of attorney to represent you. It's an open-ended power of attorney, so whatever he says, it is binding on the client. And when one votes, so when someone hires a lawyer, he or she attorns to the jurisdiction of the court. This is why in a Reclaim Your Securities post, we don't get involved in any of this. Zero. Same thing when one votes. When one votes, she does essentially the same thing as hiring a lawyer. The voter grants power of attorney to the politician. For the politician to represent him or her, the voter, in the legislature / parliament, whether it be provincial, state, federal, district, whatever. Same thing. He or she attorns to the jurisdiction of the court. The whole thing is a court. Roger Elwood was very clear on that, and I agreed. The whole thing is a court. So he or she agrees with and to be bound by the laws of the parliament / legislature of the country, state, province, district, or territory, doesn't matter. The voter, wherever the voter is resident of. So if you're in a state or in a province and you vote in that state for a provincial election, you return to the jurisdiction of the legislature of the province. You agree to be bound by the laws of the province. Or if it's on the federal side, you agree to be bound by the laws of the federal government. That's why I say parliament or legislature. That's what voting gets you. You're it's ridiculous, to be quite honest. The whole thing, I call it Wonderland, as I say, is a court. As a voter, you are a surety / slave. Do yourselves a favor and read 1 Samuel 8:10-17. It's all right there, exactly what's happening, because we turned our back on God and start voting for men, graven images, everything he said not to do. And he warned us what would happen if we did. And we all did it, knowingly or unknowingly, or whatever. Basically, by voting, you've consented to be governed by the will of the people, the voters. And it's a total power giveaway. But once you've done that, and it's again, a lot of it's assumed and presumed. A lot of us did do that. Many of us removed our names from the voter roll a long time ago. I'm not promoting that people do that here. We're reclaiming our securities overcomes all of that anyhow. But it's just the concept of voting. So when you're voting, it's called an attorned. You're giving your power and authority over to a man to represent you in the Parliament of Canada or the Congress or whatever it is in the different countries or a provincial or state legislature. And so when they're in there passing laws, existing laws that are already on the books, and any new laws that come on, if you're a voter, all you've agreed to be bound and subject to all those laws, rules, and regulations. This is why I say it's the trustee to whom these laws, rules, and regulations, codes, statutes apply, not the beneficiary. So anyhow, so that's the little child case here, and it's the statement of claim, blah blah. So you can see the information here if you want to pull it up on the internet and find it for yourself and read it. There's the number filing. It was done in 1990. Sorry, that's the only version I have. I actually got this from Doug Force. Thank you, Doug, for bringing it to our attention. A Canadian fellow. So here's your plaintiffs, bunch of people, and then this fellow here that's MP. MP means member of parliament. That's the federal parliament. If it's provincial, it's member of provincial parliament. So that's what that case is about. So these politicians can lie to get the job once they got the job, and they can do whatever they want, and you have no recourse. So do you really want to vote for liars? I'm not saying they're all liars, but they can lie, and how do you know? I want to move on to something else here. More relevant to, more direct with relevancy to the reclaim your securities. Again, I'm going to bring up a screen share right here. This is to deal with the flow. And out there in the world, you look on your driver's license, you got a name. Now remember here, the style of the name is not what's important. It's name and number. All these names out there, whether it's upper, lowercase, I don't care, all caps, partly all caps, full John Paul Smith or John J.P. Smith or John Paul Smith, whatever variations you can get of the foundational name, it doesn't matter. They've all got a different number associated to it, so it's a different account. It has nothing to do with the man or the woman. It's an account name, basically, and of a legal entity. So what's happening here, though? So we could break this down to there's two all capital letter names that are of concern. One is the straw man, and one is your public estate. So I've got a little thing here for you to look at. They charge your straw man. It is the debtor to get to your public estate. Okay, they charge the straw man. That's the debtor to get to your public estate. The surety. Remember, this is the surety for this. Principal debtor, surety. And when you're talking about charge is to draw funds. So this is what they're doing in the public. This is what it looks like. And all of this information comes with our reclaiming securities package, and it's laid out there quite very, very nicely. So it looks like this. They charge, and I'm just putting in, you can look on your social insurance account or SSN account, whatever it is, and see the name on there. So they charge, i.e. John Paul Smith, SSN or SIN number, whatever the number is, to get to your public estate. John Paul Smith registration number to get that estate on the hook as the surety/underwriter. Because remember, what's going on in the courts here is they're using your estate to underwrite their bonds. They're leveraging securities against our security, our estate here. And so all the charging that's going on out there, they're charging this here, right here, to get to this here. This is the key right there. So they're charging the SIN account. This is actually a SSN trust or SIN trust to get to the estate trust. That's what's going on here. So I'm just going to stop the screen share on that. That's a little bit of the flow. So they go through here to get to here. And now here's the thing. I'll just keep that up there for they get you involved in this by way of, but not limited to, a promise to appear or a summons. Now I'm talking court stuff here, of course. And when they do that, when they're trying to get your involvement in a court case, they're looking for your consent, your authorization to bill your estate. See, they can charge here to get to here, but they can't get to here. It's just like they can't get to your bank account without your authorization. You need to sign the check. Just read between the lines here again, people. So they need a banker's acceptance is what they're looking for. Just like when you sign a check, that's what's happening there. It is the same when someone wants money from you. You must sign the check. The check is your consent. You give them a check, and then they can take the check and get the money out of your account, transferred over their account, whatever. So, and that's a banker's acceptance. If you don't sign the check, they don't get their money, right? There's nothing's going to happen there. And that is the consent, the authorization. By signing the check, you're consenting, yep, you're entitled to this money, and you give them the check, him or her the check, whatever. Your appearance in a court matter is also a banker's acceptance. It is knowingly or unknowingly your consent for them to bill your public estate. This right here. Okay, that's what your appearance does, and there's basically 3 types of appearances, and every one of them constitutes a banker's acceptance. And this is what's going on. We're not aware of what's going on here, but that's the only reason they get you in there. So knowingly or unknowingly to get your consent to bill your estate. Therefore, we never appear in court. We don't go there. We appear by way of special trust deposit. We send a package of information to the judge so he has a heads up of what's going on, that we know what's going on. So basically, it gives him a heads up to what's going on. Now, the thing here for a little cautionary note for people, they don't like it when we do this. Why? Because we're interfering with their revenue stream. Now, they've had a revenue stream on our backs for a very long time. They become accustomed to it. They make a lot of money off of our backs. So it's not like they're going to take this lightly and just roll over and die. So I say to people, it's very important that you want to have a very good understanding of the Reclaim Your Securities process before you take action, or you could have problems. I mean that with all due respect and in sincerity. You really want to have a good understanding of this. And all of the foregoing here that I just talked about is predicated upon one not having completed the Reclaim Your Securities process. Once you have completed the process, the odds of being implicated or prejudiced in any way are slim to none. And if that was to occur, the trespasser better have put up a bond. And anyhow, so there's a lot I would like to say here on this subject. But as I've mentioned before, I cannot disclose certain things here to the public. I know people are going to run off with this information. They glean from these videos in our blog, restorethekingdomofgod.blogspot.com. I know they will do so not having all of the information required for the understanding of the concepts and the principles for reclaiming your securities. I also know you got the free will to do whatever the heck you want to do. However, when you run into that brick wall, or things are not going as you thought, feel free to contact us to obtain the our Reclaim Your Securities information package. And that information, by the way, is found at restorethekingdomofgod.blogspot.com. So, like I say, if you're a voter and you're on down as a voter, and if you're out there protesting because some politician or government's doing something you don't like, only voters would do that. I know they say if you don't vote, you can't complain. I've watched all my life. I've never voted myself. Never made sense to me. Why would I vote for him? I can govern myself. I don't need this. Anyhow, just never made sense. I don't know why. Never made sense. And so. Basically, if you're down there as a voter, or they perceive you're a voter, or you're walking and talking like a voter, acting like a voter, you're a voter, and they will treat you as a voter. You're a surety slave. Simple as that. So that's why I wanted to put that little bit out there, put that little child case to show people maybe there's something will tweak in their heads to say, you know what, enough of this nonsense. Basically hiring men to govern you, and that they can lie to take the job. They can lie to take the job. I'm not saying they're all liars. I'm not saying they go in there with bad intentions. That's not it at all. But they can lie to take the job, and they have to walk the party line first and foremost. So things, I think, change for them once they do get elected. They might all go in there with great intentions, but once they're in there, then someone lays down the law for them. And on that aspect. So that doesn't work for you to be on the books as a voter or perceived or presumed and assumed to be a voter. And if you're acting like a voter, looks like a voter, walks like a voter, talks like a voter, must be a voter, is a surety slash slave slash debtor, citizen, trustee, all those things. It's all working against us. So, and again, this is when we take control of our securities, take control of the all capital letters name. Now you're in control. They're not. It's really straightforward. It's really simple, but it does take some time here to renew the mind. Get lots of feedback from people who've been on this path and seeking for a long time, learned a lot of things, and they're having a hard time letting go of that stuff because they're still trying to, run this new information, filtering it through the mind with what they already know and trying to squeeze in all these other concepts and create their own little situation. What I can tell you is to reclaim your securities is rock solid, and there's no reason to deviate from the teachings. And I mean the teachings from the main guru here that got the information from the inside, the people that are running the system. So why would I want to change what's working? It's like I said, we're not here to reinvent the wheel. But again, people have free will to do what they want. And there is a multitude of remedies or open up here with this reclaim your securities. There's a multitude of paths people can take depending where they want to go with it. And then the other thing is, just a quick review, is the flow. They charge your straw man, that's the SSN entity, or SIN, to get to your estate. They never charge the estate directly. They always go to the straw man to charge it, get you involved, get your consent so they can now bill your estate. It's that simple. That's why if you read go to the blog there and click on the sample of the info, you'll see in there that you don't have to consent to this. That's you could just say, nope, the estate does not consent. You see, but it's how you go about these things. You don't just walk into court and say, oh, excuse me, yep, the estate doesn't consent, and you think you're going to walk out of there, give your head a shake. Seriously. I know people are going to do these things because it sounds good. Been there, done that myself. So I'm not, and this is just all meant as constructive criticism, not putting anyone down here at all. So I think that's all I really wanted to throw at you today. A little bit, a couple more things to think on. And I thought it important to give you an idea of the flow, how things are, the flow when they're doing charges out there. I don't care if it's a traffic offense, a provincial offense, or a criminal code offense, any kind of charging going on. They're charging the straw man / SSN SIN account. That's the one they're charging. And they're doing that to get to your public estate. That's the surety for this, you see. And they need your involvement in there to do that. They can't just go, if you look at the estate like your bank account, they just can't go into your bank account and take the funds. They need you to sign that check. They need your authorization, your consent. And some of this may not fall into place for you here. And again, there's some things I would like to say, but I can't put it out. I won't put it out in the public. Not going to happen. On that note, I think I'm done here. I thank you for listening to me, for putting up with me. God bless you, love you, and Godspeed. I bid you adieu. You all take care. God bless.